Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Cam.
Call the buzzer. Call the...
Take him back! Take him out!
I hope you die in prison as well.
First up, we're in Chardon, Ohio, for the sentencing of 18-year-old T.J. Lane. A year earlier, Lane showed up at Chardon High School armed with a handgun, went on a shooting spree, killing 3 students and injuring 3 others. Lane offered no motive for the killings and pleaded guilty to 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and felonious assault. Now in the courtroom, Lane's day for judgment has finally come. But he isn't done tormenting all the people whose lives he's already destroyed. Watch as he slowly reveals a sinister message to all those in the courtroom. The handmade t-shirt emblazoned with the word killer. It's a perverse reminder of a similar shirt he wore the day of the school shootings. With shock still radiating through the courtroom, the victims' family members share their emotional impact statements.
I will miss Demetrius. That child stole my baby's life, and he should never be able to do this to anyone ever again.
But Lane coldly smirks as he listens to the grieving family members.
You murdered my son, Danny. You are a killer. You're a pathetic excuse for a human being. In fact, you're not even a human being. You don't deserve to be called human. You're a monster.
And finally, when he's given a chance to speak, the so-called monster carries on with his torture of the victims' families.
Saying pull the trigger to kill your son, all of you.
Lane's defiant attitude seemingly continues even as the judge hits him with a sentence that assures he'll never walk the streets again. 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. The nightmare that is T.J. Lane would disappear into the Ohio Department of Corrections. It has a special unit for inmates that are likely to be targets of violence. Until a year and a half later, when he makes an escape. After a 6-hour manhunt, he's apprehended and later transferred to a maximum security facility. Already serving 3 life sentences, authorities choose not to charge Lane for the escape. Now to Broward County Circuit Court in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Judge Stephen Zachor is holding bond hearings via closed-circuit TV. This is Julio Torres, who doesn't seem too excited about the proceedings. Late the night before, he's charged with resisting arrest, trespassing, and violating his probation.
Bond on count 1 is $100. There's no additional charge for count 2. To be held no bond on the Dade County violation of probation.
Despite his microphone being turned off, Torres continues to question his trespassing charge.
I assume the microphone's off by design, Mr. Romero.
Your Honor, he's wanting to know the nature of the probable cause determination for count 2 on the trespass.
Nature? I found probable cause, if that's what you mean. Excuse me? Turn the mic on. Get up, bring him back.
After the insults, Torres decides to hit the judge with something else. A couple of verses.
Are you ready? So we steady like we friendly, cause you know I gotta do this, man. You're so whack, dog. Man, yo, just take off all the charges, hey, man.
As Torres continues what's becoming a nonsensical rant,
Nah, I'm going home right now. Just leave me outside or I don't know.
the public defender interjects.
Your Honor, at this time, I believe he may require mental health treatment, Your Honor.
What makes you say that?
You're charged with trespassing and like homosexuality and rape and all that.
I didn't charge you with anything, sir.
That's what I'm charging you with. Oh my goodness.
Mr. Torres, I can tell you, is there any reason right now I should not hold you in direct criminal contempt for your behavior in the court?
No.
What to quote, you just said, you judge, end quote. Do you have any explanation of why you would say something like that?
I'm God.
Yeah.
The judge doesn't entertain his holier-than-thou claim and hands down an additional charge.
I find you in direct criminal contempt. I hereby sentence you to 60 days in Broward County Jail.
How we feel that you can get enough time. God damn it! I'm sorry,
Next, we go to Fresno, California, and the trial of Joseph Ward. In 2018, Ward was charged with sexual assault, kidnapping, carjacking, and a number of other crimes in the brutal attack of a 25-year-old nanny. Ward pled not guilty, calling it a case of mistaken identity. Even when presented with this surveillance footage from the day of the crime outside the victim's house, Ward claims he's innocent. This is Ward's third sexual assault charge, and if convicted, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. At the trial, he used various ploys to delay the proceedings, frustrating the judge, Christy Culver Capitan.
As I told you before, it's not time for a dialogue. So, you speak through counsel.
Really, how do I get evidence in that I want?
We speak through counsel.
Anyway, she doesn't.
You're represented by counsel.
In another move, Ward tried to fire his attorney, and when that didn't work,
Gives the court reason to believe that if he was allowed to represent himself, he may cause disruption in the proceedings as he's already done.
running out of stall tactics, Ward chooses to testify on his own behalf, hoping his performance will convince the jury of his innocence. But the moment he steps in the witness box, Ward's behavior becomes peculiar.
Did you have any contact with the female named who testified in your court?
My stomach's...
What are your answers now?
No, I did not know.
Let's see that again. Collapses and remains on the floor for several minutes. Court officials tend to him and he's taken to a hospital, but the cause of his collapse remains a mystery. Ward's collapse does pause the proceedings, but ultimately it doesn't stop the jury from reaching its verdict. Guilty on all charges.
We got Bob Shedd in the house.
Next, we go to a bond hearing in Jefferson County, Kentucky. The judge is Sean Delahanty, a jurist with 20 years on the bench. The defendant is Charles Lewis, who's here on a misdemeanor charge for having a fake ID. The other key figure is Bob Shedd, an attorney for the defendant.
What's Bob Shedd doing here?
Shedd and the judge go way back and are both seasoned veterans, so the arraignment should move pretty smoothly.
Game time, Shedd. We're down to Charles Lewis. Is that you, sir? We're going to work this around your lawyer. He's 24 years old. He's a high risk on both measures.
With many arraignments still to go today, the judge wants to keep things moving.
So give the police officer false identification. Got a $2,500 bond.
But to do so, the one thing he needs is the case file, which is apparently in the possession of Bob Shedd.
He has... Bob, where is the case file? Well, you got to stop doing that, Bob. Give the case file to Miss... I will. Right now. Right now. Right.
Despite their history, the judge has lost all patience with Shedd.
Come around here and get Bob Shedd. Come around here and get him. Take him into custody.
You heard right.
Take him into custody.
The judge just told a court officer to take Shedd, the defense attorney, into custody. Even his own clerk seems amused by this unusual demand.
Come here. Please take him into custody right now.
Your Honor, I have done nothing wrong. I know. The judge, that
You won't. I'm here.
not acceptable, Judge.
That's fine. Keep it up, Bob. I need you to pick up Bob Shedd and take him on that side of the wall.
Again, that's Shedd right there.
He needs taken into custody. I don't know if you take him that way. I don't know where you take him.
Looks like a deputy is actually preparing to take Shedd away.
Did you give up the file yet, Bob?
Yes, I've given her the file, Your
You
Honor.
need to leave, Bob.
Your Honor, I'm representing my
Take him
client.
out of here.
Your Honor,
Now that he's got the file, Judge Delahanty is ready to move.
Judge.
Fine. Get him,
Judge,
Bob.
I respectfully request to give me an opportunity to represent my client.
Not this moment.
I have done nothing wrong, Your Honor, and
You're disrupting the
I
court.
will file a complaint with the judicial retirement commission.
Fine. Do that, Bob.
I will do it.
Fine, Bob. All right, now we're moving on. Here we have... that's what I said, Bob. It's unacceptable. Anyway,
Shedd's escorted out of the hearing, but not into custody, and no charges were ever filed against him. And not only did Bob Shedd not file a complaint against Judge Delahanty, but when asked about the incident, Shedd said Delahanty is an excellent judge, and he will even vote for him in the next election. As for the defendant, Charles Lewis, who just watched this all go down, the judge releases him on his own recognizance.
I'm sorry it happened, but the car that I was driving was like a race car.
Now to Jefferson County Circuit Court in Louisville, Kentucky. 27-year-old Damon Hobbs is being sentenced for second-degree manslaughter. At the microphone, a woman is sharing her impact statement with the court.
something senseless. And sisters who have lost their brother and their best friend.
One of the victim's sisters, Tina Strange, is seated in the gallery. Sensing that she's upset, someone nearby offers her a tissue, but that won't be enough to calm her down.
And we're here today, we want the court to know how we feel that he didn't get enough time.
God damn it! I'm sorry.
So what caused the victim's sister to lash out? She claims the woman sitting next to her was snickering throughout the proceedings. After throwing the violent sucker punch, Tina Strange is charged with contempt of court, sentenced to a day in jail. Next, we go to Rock Hill, South Carolina, for the sentencing of Abdul Omar Emanuel. 20-year-old pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter, armed robbery, and other charges in the death of 25-year-old Michael Giddens. Emanuel and two friends went to the Giddens' home to buy drugs. When he saw the victim was armed, Emanuel shot Giddens in the chest. He fled the scene but was arrested the following week. Before Judge Edward Miller delivers his sentence, he listens to a statement from Emanuel's mother, Pamela St. Hill. But instead of talking about her son,
I'm also standing here because I'm the mother who also lost a child. So I want you to know that I feel your pain on behalf of my family. We are so sorry for your loss. And I know no matter what I said today can bring him back.
Hill then addresses her son directly.
I'll say that you can anyway. I am sorry. I'm trying to do the best that I can. I'm saying it all. It was not here when you come home. No, I'm over there looking back at you. Please make me smile. Don't make me cry, please. I've been crying for several years now, son. I'm trying to raise him the best way I know how. He never had a male figure in his life. I'm asking you to please have mercy on him.
Thank you very much.
Emanuel's then given a chance to address the court and the family of Michael Giddens.
Your Honor, I know that I've done wrong, and I didn't mean for any of this to happen. So please, Your Honor, I beg you to please forgive me and have mercy on me. Forgive his family and my family. I'm truly and deeply sorry for the loss of your son.
Emanuel also addresses his mother's powerful statement from earlier.
Mom, please don't blame yourself for the mistakes I made. I know you gave me everything that I want, and you wanted the best for me. I wish at all times you was talking to me, I would have listened to you. And I know I would not be standing here today.
But the pleas for mercy don't have much of an impact on the judge's decision.
Good. Quite a record. So I'm going to give you 30 years on the manslaughter, 5 on the accompanying with possession of a weapon or other violent crime, 10 years on the armed robbery consecutive.
In total, the judge sentenced Emanuel to 40 years in state prison. He won't be eligible for parole until he's 56 years old.
Good morning. Are you Virginia Wagner?
Hi, Miss Wagner.
Next, we head to Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. The defendant, 85-year-old Virginia Wagner. Charge, reckless driving and driving with a suspended license. The vehicle, a souped-up Dodge Dart.
You had that race car. You had that fast car. I know you did. You didn't need that fast car.
Wagner doesn't refute the charge, but places most of the blame on the car itself.
I'm sorry it happened, but the car that I was driving was like a race car. It had an extra motor in it. The car is not going to be driving anymore.
Okay. I would recommend a $100 fine.
All right, and you would have to pay a $100 fine?
I know it now.
Okay, did you understand, though, that do you want to accept that and plead guilty today?
Yes, I'm guilty, yeah.
As a packed gallery looks on, Wagner finishes up her business. That is, until
Yes, sir.
an unusual request is submitted to the judge.
Ma'am, he wants to pay your fine.
The Good Samaritan who gave his name as Mike Evans offered to pay Wagner's fine.
So, Miss Wagner, you go down...
Sit here and I'll just take the paper.
Yeah, you give him your paper, and he's going to go down there and pay that for you. Thank you, sir.
Wagner appreciated the man's generosity, but after initially accepting his money, she later returned the cash, paid the fine herself, bringing an end to Virginia Wagner's time behind the wheel.
You were a potential menace to society.
I was doing good, Your Honor. I really was.
Next, we go to Lorain, Ohio, where Zaire Duffy is in court for violating his parole. Duffy racked up 8 charges while on parole, including drug trafficking, gun possession, leading police on a high-speed car chase. The judge, Raymond Ewers, has given the defendant several opportunities in the past to stay out of jail. But today could be the day his luck runs out.
The state would ask that you sentence this defendant to the maximum amount of time allowed by law. He's been involved in a number of offenses involving guns, drug trafficking, high-speed chases with the police. He has no regard for society.
After the prosecutor's statement, Duffy has one last chance to explain his actions.
I was doing good, Your Honor. I really was.
I was doing good out there. I was not selling drugs. I was doing none of that. I was trying to my life on trying. This man just told me he's trying to give me 13 years. I'm not a monster. I'm not a monster. Who was driving that car the other day? Who was chasing you? I was driving. Well, I think I spent plenty of time to observe how you would behave after you left prison. I hung significant prison time over your head because the 8 cases you had in this courtroom showed to me that you were a potential menace to society. I gave you an opportunity. I gave you more than one opportunity. I gave you more opportunities than maybe I should have, because look where we are today. You put people's lives at risk, and I'm not going to allow control as well as this judicial release in the court as well.
The judge begins to read his rather lengthy sentence.
4th case, 14 CRC 89912. Yeah, the defendant's found.
Duffy turns his back on the judge and mumbles a few words to his attorney.
He's 12 months on the 5th case, which was...
Those tears have now faded, and he looks straight at the courtroom camera.
89550. I'll tell you, I'm not happy about today.
What's the total sentence, sir?
The total sentence would be 13 years and 4 months.
So you just gave 13 years.
13 years and 4 months.
And 3, 4, and 5, bro.
That's what
this is justice.
It's justice because I gave you more opportunities. I'm talking right now. Oh, you don't, do you? Okay. There you go. So long now. I gave you more chances than anyone would ever give us. Only 8 cases. That's not even behavior. You deserve every one of what you get.
Duffy's removed from the courtroom to begin his 13-year sentence. Among other things, possession of drugs, drug trafficking, and possession of criminal tools.
All right, next case.
That's all for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.